Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for checking the video out. Today we have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover here today. Diving right into the first story, we have an update on the GTA 6 leak situation. The individual who was apparently responsible for this hack has reportedly been arrested. Coming from PlayStation Lifestyle, it says it looks like the GTA 6 hacker has been arrested less than a week after the high-profile security breach at Rockstar Games, which is thought to have stemmed from breaking into an employee's Slack workspace. Earlier today, the City of London police announced that it had arrested a 17-year-old in Oxfordshire on suspicion of hacking. According to journalist Matthew Keyes' sources, the teenager was behind the Rockstar Games as well as the Uber hack. Continues by saying complete details are still under wraps because the suspect is a minor. However, Keyes has said that a statement from the police as well as the FBI is expected sometime soon. Earlier this week, Uber revealed that the FBI and Department of Justice are pursuing the hackers who broke into the transport company's systems and said that it believed it was the same group behind Rockstar Games' security breach as well. The studio chose to not go into specifics, but did acknowledge the hack and reassured players and stakeholders that its development work on GTA 6 has not been impacted. It's worth noting that the hacker had in their possession both GTA 5 and GTA 6 source codes, the former of which they attempted to sell before scrubbing their online presence since their location was reportedly compromised via Telegram. So yeah, pretty crazy update to this whole situation. It's hard to believe that, a 17-year-old hacker is responsible for something as significant as this, but apparently that's exactly the situation, and they are now in police custody. And so, I'm sure there's going to be more updates to this story, and whatever we learn, I'll be sure to relay it to you guys. Let me know your thoughts about that. Next up, we are talking about what Marvel is saying about their gaming universe and how they have no plans to connect these universes and make it similar to what we see with the MCU. So reading from PlayStation Universe, it says Bill Roseman, VP and Creative Director for Marvel Games, has revealed the company has no plans to build a connected universe within its games, similar to what the Marvel Cinematic Universe has achieved. Speaking with GI.biz, Roseman made it clear that they want to be able to have the freedom to tell their own stories within their games and not be bound to any overarching narrative. He says, the world is amazingly very familiar and accepting of the multiverse. We have all these different realities. Now they're all real, and we want to give everyone the freedom to tell their story. We don't want to say you can't blow up the moon because the game over here by another studio needs the moon. We want to give everyone the freedom and the clear lane to tell their story. So this was something that I thought was pretty interesting and certainly worth covering here, because with the announcement of Wolverine specifically from Insomniac Games, we know that they did Spider-Man 2018, Miles Morales, they have Spider-Man 2 coming up, but with the announcement of Wolverine specifically, people started to wonder, are we seeing Marvel attempt to create their own gaming universe similar to what we see with the MCU? But now we have explicit confirmation that no, that's not what they're looking to achieve. They want to allow these development teams to just do their own thing with these characters and not have to worry about what other development teams are doing with other characters. And I think that this is probably the best way to go about it. I mean, obviously there are some upsides to having a connected universe, but there are also some downsides. And in this case, the downside would be that, each development team working with these characters, they have to maybe not do certain things because it would get in the way. It would cause some issues, right? But that's not something they're going to have to worry about. They're going to be able to do whatever it is they want to do for the characters, whatever they think is best. And I think that this is ultimately going to result in just better standalone games. The fact that they're not going to have to adhere to certain rules and guidelines, so that way it doesn't break the universe or the connected universe. I think it's going to work out for the best. So I want to let you guys know about that. Let me know your thoughts. Next up, we're talking about a game that I think looks pretty good, and I think that many of you are also looking forward to, a Plague Tale Requiem. We have some new information on this title. Not only are we hearing how long the game's going to be, but we have the developers talking very positively about the PlayStation 5's DualSense controller specifically, but starting here talking about the length of the game coming from PlayStation Universe. Speaking during an interview with Play Magazine, Kevin Pinson, lead level designer at Asobo Studio, has revealed that the upcoming Plague Tale Requiem will last around 15 to 18 hours. Crucially, Pinson revealed that there's no padding to be found in the game, which is common in single-player games to artificially extend the game's length. So he says here it's about pacing, there's no filler, there's no trying to make it longer because we needed to. Our publisher, Focus Interactive, encourages us to do the length that we want to do for the game, for the story we want to tell. So we're not aiming for a specific amount of hours. This is not something that we take into account when we first design the game. We are a small team of 70 people, so we have to be really drastic about our choices. So I thought this was some good info we're getting on a Plague Tale Requiem. I mean, 15 to 18 hours sounds pretty good. I mean, if it's true what he's saying here, that there's no filler, that's a long time for a single player game. We're gonna have to see if that's true or not. I'm having kind of a hard time believing that they're going to be able to achieve that with no filler whatsoever, but yeah, there you go. That's how long the game's going to take to beat, anywhere between 15 and 18 hours. But on top of that, we have them letting us know how they're planning to take full advantage of the DualSense and how to them, it's kind of a big deal. They're saying that they're doubling down on the DualSense. So again, from PlayStation Universe, the lead level designer for Asobo Studios has explained how the extra graphical muscle afforded by the PS5 has allowed the team to do a lot more with lighting for Plague Tale Requiem. Speaking in the latest issue, Play Magazine, Kevin Pinson explained that light is an important component in a Plague Tale, and that the PS5's hardware has allowed them to make big leaps in this field. Not only that, but the team is making strong use of the DualSense controller. Specifically, we are a game about light. The power of the PS5 allows us to have more lights and do more things with it. It's really expressive from a game engine perspective to use the light as a gameplay mechanic, but this current gen allows us to do more dynamic lights. With Requiem, it's also a lot about the soundscapes and the physicality of the environment, so we try to transcribe that into the haptic feedback. It's really good playing with the PS5 DualSense. I'm happy that people will soon be able to give us feedback about it. So it's nice to once again see another third-party developer talking positively about the DualSense. I always like hearing developers talk positively about this controller and taking advantage of its features because you can tell that there are some devs who just don't care about it and they don't really actually try to take advantage of it. But then there are devs that do care about it and they do try to take advantage of it. And when they do, it really goes a long way in enhancing the overall experience. And I feel like a game like a Plague Tale probably could benefit greatly from the DualSense. And maybe that's something that the developers immediately realized. So on top of that, he's talking positively about the PS5 hardware. I feel like that's something that's a little bit more obvious. Obviously, we expect any game that's being developed for the PS5 to look pretty good. They're talking about the lighting specifically. So yeah, there you go. That's the latest update I have for you on a Plague Tale Requiem. Let me know your thoughts on it. We're moving to the final topic though, which is a pretty interesting one. An update coming from Microsoft and how they are confident that the Activision Blizzard deal will succeed despite increased scrutiny. And they seem to have maybe taken a little jab at Sony here. So from PlayStation Lifestyle, it says Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella is confident that the company's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard will receive regulatory approval. He believes that the amount of scrutiny the deal is receiving is normal and that regulators will find it above the board. Continues by saying in an interview with Bloomberg, Nadella said of the Activision purchase, of course, any acquisition of this size will go through scrutiny, but we feel very, very confident that will come out. He pointed out that Sony is the #1 player in the video games industry and that it made several acquisitions recently without being blocked. So if this is about competition, let us have competition, Nadella stated.
And so we feel very, very confident. Of course, any acquisition of this size will go through scrutiny, but we feel very, very confident that we'll come out. We are number 4, number 5, depending on how you count in gaming. In fact, the #1 player, in this case, Sony, I think even in this period has acquired 3 companies. So if this is about competition, let us have competition.
And so, yeah, this was something that I saw really kind of making the rounds. And there's a few things that I think are worth pointing out here. Number one, I think it's certainly disingenuous for Satya Nadella to be kind of comparing the few of the acquisitions that Sony has made to something like acquiring Activision Blizzard. And to me, that's the most strange thing about this is I think anybody looking at this can clearly see that Sony acquiring Bungie, Sony acquiring Housemarque, right? Sony acquiring a studio like Blue Point Games. None of this is anywhere even remotely close to being on the same level as what Microsoft is trying to do here with Activision Blizzard. Surely Satya Nadella knows this, but something else that I do think is worth pointing out is not that long ago, Phil Spencer went on record saying that he doesn't view Sony and Nintendo as their competition. Instead, he views the likes of Google, Amazon, Tencent. You know, these are Microsoft's main competitors. So it is, again, pretty disingenuous to see Satya Nadella come out and reference the fact that, you know, they're number 4 or 5 in gaming, to where Sony is number 1. And this is where it's like, well, which is it? You know, Sony's either your competition or they're not. You know, one day you say they're not your competition and you're not competing with them because you're focused on the bigger companies. And then the next day you're saying, well, you know, look at us. We're in 4th place. We're in 5th place. Sony's in 1st place, while also trying to somehow compare some of Sony's, you know, minor acquisitions to, you know, a $68 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. It's you know, it's disingenuous. And this is what we're going to continue to see, as I said, with this deal. We're going to see Sony come out and say things. We're going to see Microsoft come out and say things. But to me, this is truly just strange to see Microsoft CEO kind of come out here and just so casually and so confidently kind of make it seem like, you know, what we're seeing them do with Activision Blizzard is on the same level of the things that we've seen Sony do. But, you know, again, it's something they're going to continue to kind of push, and this is the stance they're going to have to take. And so I figured I would just update you guys with this. I'm assuming next week we'll have another comment from either Sony or Microsoft regarding this. So yeah, that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Again, if you did, leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.